In the heart of America's glittering spotlight, where dreams collide with doubt on the stage of America's Got Talent 2025, two wide-eyed Filipino siblings clutch each other's hands, their voices the only weapon against a poverty that clawed at their heels from halfway around the world. One wrong note, and their family's fragile hope shatters, but Simon Cowell, the king of cruel truths, feels his armored heart crack wide open. Hit subscribe now to dive into the duet that didn't just win a buzzer, it rewrote destinies and left a nation breathless. The humid air of Manila clung to Liana and Marco Reyes like a second skin as they huddled in their family's cramped shanty on the outskirts of Quezon City. It was the summer of 2024, and the world felt impossibly distant, a shimmering mirage beyond the rusting tin roof that rattled with every tropical downpour. Liana, at 19, was the elder by 2 years, her dark hair tied back in a practical braid that spoke of mornings spent scrubbing floors in a nearby hotel to keep food on the table. Marco, with his lanky frame and eyes that seemed to hold the Pacific Ocean's depth, dreamed in melodies he scribbled on scraps of napkin during his shifts hawking street food. Their mother, Elena, a widow since their father vanished into the sea's unforgiving embrace during a fishing storm 5 years prior, often whispered to them at night, "Your voices are our legacy. Sing like the stars are listening." But stars felt as remote as the American stages they glimpsed in pirated clips of talent shows, flickering on a neighbor's borrowed television. It started with a dare, really. A viral video challenge sweeping TikTok, where duos belted out covers of old OPM, original Filipino music, hits, chasing likes that might lead to something more. Liana and Marco, egged on by their younger sister Mia, who was just 12 and already fiercer than a typhoon, recorded themselves harmonizing "Anak" by Freddie Aguilar in the dim glow of a single bulb. They posted it without expectation, laughing off the nerves as the phone captured their raw, untrained blend, Liana's alto rich like aged balut, Marco's tenor soaring like a kite in monsoon winds. By morning, the video had 10,000 views. By week's end, 500,000. Comments flooded in. "AGT Scouts, sign them now. Filipino soul shaking my core from Cali." Elena wept when she saw it, clutching the cross necklace their father had left behind. "This is it," she said. "America's calling." The call came not from producers, but from a distant cousin in Los Angeles, Tita Rosa, who had emigrated decades ago and now ran a small eatery in Echo Park. She wired them just enough for one-way tickets, her voice crackling over a spotty line, "I've seen the video. You're going. For Elena. For your tate." Liana hesitated, her practical mind tallying the risks, leaving Mia behind, the debt piling up, the what-ifs of failure. But Marco's eyes lit with that unquenchable fire, and he said, if we don't try, we'll sing regrets forever." They boarded the plane in August, hearts pounding like conga drums, clutching a single suitcase stuffed with Elena's embroidered barong Tagalog for luck and a crumpled audition packet downloaded from the AGT website. The flight was a blur of turbulence and tears, Liana sketching song lyrics on the airline napkin while Marco practiced scales under his breath, ignoring the curious glances from fellow passengers. Los Angeles hit them like a fever dream, palm trees swaying against smog-choked skies, freeways humming with promise and peril. Tita Rosa's apartment was a sanctuary of adobo-scented warmth, but reality bit quick. They crashed on her couch, pounding pavement for temp jobs by day, Liana waitressing at a fusion spot in Koreatown, Marco bussing tables at a beachside cafe in Santa Monica. Nights blurred into rehearsals in abandoned lots or under the Hollywood sign's shadow, their voices echoing off graffiti walls. They chose their audition song carefully, a mashup of "The Prayer" by Celine Dion and Andrea Bocelli, infused with Filipino flair, Liana adding Tagalog verses from Pangako Sa'yo, Marco weaving in guitar strums he'd taught himself on a borrowed ukulele. It was their story and sound, plea for divine intervention, vow unbroken despite storms. Audition day dawned in October 2024, the Burbank studios a fortress of steel and spotlights. Thousands vied for slots, but their viral clip had fast-tracked them to the preliminary rounds. Liana's stomach twisted as they queued in the cattle call line, the air thick with perfumes and desperation. Contestants buzzed around them, fire breathers from Vegas, contortionists from Brooklyn, a tap-dancing grandma from Texas. Marco squeezed her hand. "Remember Mia's face when we left? This is for her smile." They made it through the cattle call, their duet drawing nods from producers who murmured about exotic appeal and heart-tug potential. By November, they were slotted for the live quarterfinals in 2025, the show's milestone season promising bigger stakes, holographic stages, and Simon Cowell's infamous buzz or bust scrutiny. As January 2025 unfurled, rehearsals intensified. Tita Rosa's nephew, a sound engineer named Javier, volunteered to polish their act, adding subtle electronic layers to mimic ocean waves crashing beneath their vocals. Calls home to Elena and Mia became lifelines, Mia chattering about school, Elena's voice frail but fierce, the ancestors are with you. Sing from the gut. But doubt crept in like fog off the bay. Liana caught Marco staring at old photos of their father, a fisherman with a laugh like thunder, and wondered if this chase was just fleeing ghosts. Then came the first twist. During a dress rehearsal, Marco's voice cracked on the high note, raw from exhaustion and a budding cold. He collapsed in tears backstage, whispering, "What if we're frauds, 8? What if America sees through us?" Liana pulled him close, her own fears bubbling up. "Then we shatter beautifully. But we don't stop." The night of the performance arrived on February 14, 2025, Valentine's Day, a cosmic joke on siblings chasing love through song. The Dolby Theater pulsed with energy, the audience a sea of red, white and blue faces, celebrities dotted like jewels in the VIP rows. Backstage, Liana adjusted Marco's barong, her fingers trembling as she pinned a sampaguita flower behind his ear. "For Tate," she said. He nodded, throat tight. Their cue came too soon. Liana and Marco Reyes, representing the Philippines. The spotlight hit like Judgment Day, the holographic waves projected behind them swirling in azure illusions. Simon Cowell lounged center judge's table, flanked by Sofia Vergara's radiant smile, Howie Mandel's fidgety charm, and the new addition, pop sensation Lila Voss, a Gen Z powerhouse with a Grammy under her belt. They began softly, Liana's alto unfurling the opening plia, the prayer, her eyes locked on Marco as if the world narrowed to their shared breath. The audience leaned in, sensing the vulnerability, the slight quiver in her tone, the way Marco's tenor rose like dawn over the South China Sea, harmonizing in perfect, aching symmetry. Then the twist within the song. Midway through, as the melody swelled, Marco faltered. Not from nerves, but something deeper. His voice dipped, eyes widening in panic as a memory flashed, their father's last words, slurred in a storm-soaked goodbye, "Protect each other, always." The note hung, threatening to unravel. Liana, sensing it, improvised, layering in the Tagalog vow, her hand reaching out as if bridging oceans. Marco recovered, but not before the audience gasped, the judges shifting. Sophia whispered to Howie, "Is this real or heartbreak scripted?" But they pushed through, the mashup cresting into a crescendo that fused cultures, Bocelli's operatic soar meeting Aguilar's soulful grit. Marco's ukulele thrummed like a heartbeat, Liana's voice climbing to a belt that echoed off the rafters, raw and unfiltered. The final note lingered, a prayer answered in silence. The theater erupted, standing ovation crashing like applause thunder. Sofia Vergara leapt up first, her accent thick with emotion. "Ay, Dios mío, that was from the soul. You too, you make me cry for my own family." Howie Mandel, usually the joker, wiped his eyes. "I'm deal or no deal." "You're the deal, pure gold." Lila Voss, the youngest judge, nodded vigorously, that vulnerability. "It's viral magic. You've got the internet in your pocket already." Simon Cowell remained seated, his face a mask of calculation, fingers steepled. The siblings stood frozen, sweat beading under the lights, hearts hammering. He leaned into the mic, his British drawl slicing the air. "I've seen a lot in 20 years of this madness. Contortionists who twist like pretzels, singers who warble like wounded cats. But you didn't just sing. You survived on that stage." A pause, heavy as lead. Liana's mind raced, rejection. The buzz. Then, the second twist. Simon's eyes softened, a rare crack in the veneer. "Your brother faltered," he said, and Marco winced, "but your sister. She didn't let it break you. That's not talent, that's family. That's what this show forgets sometimes." He reached for the golden lever, the one he'd pressed only a handful of times in AGT history. "I'm stunned." And when Simon Cowell is stunned, the buzzer slammed down, confetti exploding like fireworks, the golden light bathing them in glory. The crowd roared, cameras capturing Marco's sob, Liana's triumphant grin as they hugged, the world tilting on its axis. Backstage chaos followed, producers swarming, phones buzzing with notifications. Their video clip hit 50 million views by midnight, hashtags #Reyes Golden Buzzer and #Filipino Fire trending worldwide. Tita Rosa arrived with Mia, who had been flown in as a surprise, her small arms wrapping around them both. Elena's FaceTime call came at dawn, her face illuminated by the shanty's lone lamp. "My stars. You've lit the sky." But the third twist lurked in the afterglow. As they basked in interviews, Ellen calling for a follow-up, Billboard profiling their underdog ascent, a letter arrived from the Philippines. Not fan mail, but a bombshell. Their father, presumed lost at sea, was alive. Spotted in a remote fishing village in Palawan, amnesiac from the wreck, piecing together fragments of memory. A local journalist, tipped by the buzz, had tracked him down. "He heard your song on a radio smuggled from Manila," the letter read. "He remembers now. He's coming home. The revelation hit like a rogue wave. Marco, pacing Tita Rosa's apartment, alternated between rage and relief. 5 years, 8. We mourned him. Built this on his ghost. Liana, ever the anchor, traced the letter's creases. Maybe the stage called him back. Our prayer worked. They decided to weave it into their semi-final act, transforming pain into power. The road to the finals twisted further. A rival contestant, a slick Vegas crooner named Derek Hale, accused them of staged drama, leaking edited rehearsal footage showing Marco's crack to tabloids, painting them as sympathy bait. Social media ignited, #Reyes Real Versus. #Fake Tears, dividing fans. Lila Voss defended them on her podcast. Vulnerability isn't a script, it's survival. Simon, in a rare tweet, quipped, I've buzzed worse and regretted it. These two. Pure. Derek who? The semi-finals in March amplified the stakes. The stage, now augmented with AI-driven visuals that responded to their vocals, waves cresting higher with each harmony, felt like an extension of their blood. They debuted a new piece, Homeward Bound, an original blending folk guitar with orchestral swells, lyrics chronicling loss and reunion. As Marco sang of anchors lost in salty night, voices pulling through the fight, footage played of their father's weathered face, permission granted for the emotional gut punch. The audience, now laced with Filipino-American contingents waving Philippine flags, wept openly. Sophia clutched her heart. This is why we do this show, for stories that heal. Howie buzzed in early. America's voting for heart tonight. Lila, you're not just siblings, you're a movement. Simon, voice gravelly, you turned accusation into art. That's the twist I didn't see coming. 4 yeses. Votes poured in, propelling them to the finals in April. But the fourth twist struck like lightning. Marco fell ill, a vicious flu from the relentless tour schedule, his voice reduced to whispers days before the big night. Doctors ordered rest, but rest was a luxury they couldn't afford. Liana, drawing on street smarts from Manila, brewed salabat, ginger tea laced with honey, from Tita Rosa's kitchen, forcing Marco to inhale steam while she ran scales alone. We adapt, she told him, echoing their mother's mantra. In desperation, they recruited Mia, now 13 and with a preternatural ear for pitch, to fill harmonies on backing vocals. The finale stage, under a dome of swirling stars projected for the theme, Dreams Unlimited, became their battlefield. Derek Hale performed first, his lounge act polished to diamond sheen, but the crowd's cheers felt obligatory. When the Reyes took the stage, Marco's voice emerged hoarse but heroic, Liana and Mia flanking him like guardians. They launched into a medley. The prayer, reborn with strings, segued into Anak, culminating in a choral swell where Father, flown in for the occasion, joined from the wings via video link, his baritone rumbling a fisherman's hymn. The fusion was electric, tears streaming down judges' faces, Simon rising unbidden, applauding through the end. You've shaken me, he admitted post-performance, off mic but caught by a hot mic. Not just stunned, transformed. If this is what family forges, the world's better for it. Votes tallied in agonizing suspense, confetti cannons primed. When Heidi Klum announced, the winners of America's Got Talent 2025. Liana, Marco, and Mia Reyes. The explosion of joy drowned the screams. $1 million prize, a Vegas headline deal, but more, a bridge home rebuilt. In the months that followed, the Reyes' ascent reshaped lives. Their father, Ramon, reintegrated slowly, his tales of survival weaving into their lore. A storm that spared him, washed ashore with amnesia, sustained by villagers who mistook him for a wandering spirit. They launched a foundation, Voices Across Oceans, funding music programs in Philippine slums and Laos immigrant hubs. Tours sold out from New York to Honolulu, their album, Shattered Harmony, topping Billboard's world charts. Simon Cowell, in a People interview, called it, the buzzer that buzzed me back to life. Twists had forged them, falters into fortitude, accusations into acclaim, loss into legacy.